Hello, everyone, and we're back. So today's Monday, May 9th, and this is Between Two Teachers, where two teachers talk about the ups and downs of public education in California and across the globe. So we are, yeah, we're starting back up. So thank you and welcome back. So my name is Consuelo Lara.
And I'm Madeline Cronenberg, and I'll begin again, as we always do, with our land acknowledgement. We pause to acknowledge that we have gathered on the ancestral territory of Hui Chin, which is part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karkan-speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. We offer our respect to their elders and all Ohlone people of the past and the present. So we are so glad to be back. So much has happened, as always does, since the last time we've talked to you. And we want to, first of all, get in the habit of reminding you to like and share and subscribe. Right? It would be fun for us to grow our numbers, and we just keep forgetting to ask. So if you've got a chance to, please do that now. Nationally, I wanted to just mention there's many things that have happened, certainly all kinds of things. There have been elections, the May 7th, there was elections across the country. There's tremendous activism around critical race theory, and I think tremendous misunderstanding. It's a term that's been weaponized, but there have been throughout Texas, where you've got a growing number of conservative school districts. Those who are supportive of eliminating ethnic studies and critical race theory are growing. So we need to know this is really something that parents and families need to have a better understanding of, because what critical race theory is, honestly, is teaching what actually happened. This is the story of the United States. We're a country that has had laws regarding race. And the laws we had in place regarding race were against a race or a number of races, and supportive and better for other races. And we're making believe we never had these laws, or we still don't have them. And that's really a huge problem. There's a charter school in Tennessee. The governor of Tennessee has suggested and approved that there be a Hillsdale College, a very conservative organization, which has adopted, instead of the 1619 approach program of teaching history, they've adopted the one that the Trump administration wrote. And yes, they have, that's what they've adopted. And they have, and the governor has asked that they take over and manage 50 charter schools in the state of Tennessee.
Wow.
So this is,
Yeah,
it is,
them and, just keep out a whole group of people and a whole part of history, and just stay focused like this.
it's children. You have a next generation that's going to be raised without any understanding of what actually has happened in this country.
Yeah.
That is the thing that's so unfair to those children.
Yeah.
And it means that we're not going to make the progress we need to make, or that we thought we had made, actually.
I know.
Until we got all this, I thought we had, until all of this incredible pushback came out.
Yeah.
So this is a gigantic issue that's continuing to grow, and it's probably going to grow all this year through the elections, and then through the presidential elections. It's just not going to go away by itself. It's just clear that it's not.
You got to be aware of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to know. And so I'm just highlighting when I see real specific incidents of it. The other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is the teacher pipeline issues, and that across the country, and thank goodness locally, we are looking at pipelines, because one of the things that's happened is, as we know, teachers have left many of them are burned out. There are early retirements, and there are folks that just said the whole idea of teaching online is way more than and different from anything they ever had really wanted to do. And so that there's a gigantic shortage, and it's being addressed many different ways throughout the country. And state after state is having to recognize the fact that it does exist, right? And that's true in other fields too. The other big one is nurses, right? Which are the two main fields that are predominantly female.
Yeah, that's so, yep, it's not a coincidence. That's
Right, but we can do a shout out to West Contra Costa, who are growing a teacher academy, right? Something we've talked about here
Yep.
for a very long time. And it seems it's happening now at Richmond High, right?
Yes, they're building it up. They are. I'm just
So
so
that's,
happy. So
that
good.
is
Shout out to
really
them for sure.
big shout out to Richmond High for
I'll
that.
bring more information about that next week.
Yes, we're gonna
Good
know
job.
more, but just so you know. The next thing I just wanted to talk about a little bit, well, there's the issues around the vaccine and COVID in California and locally are that in the end, the vaccine mandate is not going to be put in place until 2023.
23. Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Right, that's how it's played out, and it's played out that way because of the CDC approvals.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
in the end, what you want are the CDC is the experts, and until they actually approve, give something the same approval that they give everything else, the state is not going to adopt it, because then the state's saying it's above the CDC, above science,
Yeah.
and not where they want to be.
You know, and I've heard some schools, they really feel like that there's more students who are vaccinated than reported. Because the parents have to somehow record it, or
Yeah,
that the child is vaccinated, the child can't do it, that the parent has to. And so there's many reasons why that might not be happening, and so one high school, they've had clinics, they've had, and kids are wearing their masks, and they think that almost all of them are vaccinated, and but yet they don't have that number officially. So that's an issue.
it is an issue, and it revolves also around, I believe, how the state collects the information, and who has access to the information, and whether that information is accessible to the school district personnel and to the public.
Yeah.
Right. And so that still has been, had to be worked out. But since they pushed the deadline back, the energy around working that out is probably going to go down. Right. And then it's all about whether or not the COVID numbers go up. And I mean, we can, hopefully they will never be what they were, because so many people are vaccinated. So even if there are new variations coming in, people who are at risk know they are, and understand how they have to behave differently.
And
I think masking is the big thing.
Yeah, people need to know you can have both vaccines, both booster shots, and still get COVID. So you need to wear the masks and be around people that wear masks, or,
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Trust me, I know personal experience.
Right. And it makes sense. The thing that, however, that doesn't mean you don't get your vaccines, right? Because that's what helps you defeat it, and you're not going to be as sick as you would be, right?
Yeah, much milder symptoms. Oh, for sure. Because then it would have been.
So the numbers are going up, but the hospitalizations aren't going up.
Exactly.
That's the big news, right? That's the thing that we can look at. Anyway, so there we are. That's our coronavirus update. We're about to have an election in California, and our state superintendent has an opponent who is a teacher. He has an opponent named Marco Amaral, which I was surprised to learn. So I'm just putting that out there. This is for the first time, and this is an opponent who's coming from a different perspective than before. And this isn't the final. This is the primary, so there's going to be we're still going to have an election in November for state superintendent. Uh, it was an interesting one in California. There's a state senator, Senator Cortese, Dave Cortese. He has proposed something for low income, right, for low income and homeless high school seniors. What he has proposed for them is that the state of California send them $1,000 a month.
Okay. Okay.
Right, in order to prepare them for anyway, for going to work or going to college or going to community college, right? Because what we know is that the students who are absolutely the most at risk of not moving on into any kind of higher education, and community college is in California free to anybody who is as low income as he's talking about. But the fact that the tuition is free doesn't give you books and doesn't give you a place to stay and doesn't feed you and doesn't do all these other things that you need if you're a homeless student. And so the conclusion he came to was that students who are experiencing homelessness in high school should be eligible for an extra, for these funds to be able to support themselves.
That would be wonderful. Oh,
It's a really exciting idea.
yeah.
It's a really exciting idea. Now so it's just one to follow, and we'll see you next time, next week when we meet again. I'll tell you the update on it. But it's a new proposal by Senator Cortese. It just shows how creative people are getting.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's very creative. People would never expect that.
Yeah.
There are lots of little political things in Orange County. Orange County never stops having its own issues. They voted to cut their superintendent's salary. You know, this is the thing. The one thing we know is that county boards set the superintendent's salary. Isn't that true?
That is true. That is
right. And you can choose to give a raise. You can choose not to give a raise. You could also choose to cut.
Oh, okay.
And that's what and the county board in Orange County, you have to remember they've filed lawsuits against each other, the board and the superintendent. So there's no love lost in their relationship. And one of the things they did was vote to cut his salary. But I think there's an election there too. So we'll see who actually wins in Orange County.
Okay. All right.
The big thing that's on the ballot, we're going to have the vote for arts and minds. That has been approved. It's going to be on the ballot in November, and we're just going to talk about it all the time because we really need that one to be approved. But the other thing that on the county level, you've had a lot of interesting things happen at your board meetings this month, right?
Oh yeah. A lot of things. And the big thing right now for me was to be able to meet with the teachers who teach at the county schools. We got 5 county schools. Mount McKinley is the juvenile hall school. Golden Gate is a community school. That was made into a charter school for some reason. We're still trying to find out exactly why.
But it's a district charter school.
But
it's one of the 10 district charter schools, right?
Yeah, it's
somehow.
And there's different campuses of Golden Gate too.
But it's run by your district. It's not run by a charter operator.
Correct. It's not a CMO. There's no CMO. It's ours. So then there's Liberty High School, Mauzy, M-A-U-Z-Y, Mauzy School, and Marcus. And, these are our most vulnerable children. Some are special ed schools, some are there's schools when the student, they call them court schools also, where a judge appoints them to go to these schools as well. So these are our most vulnerable students. They come from who knows what kind of environment, have to deal with so many different challenges, and they should be getting our best. They need to be getting our best and safest and most supported teachers, and spending the money where that we can create that, where there
is more money for these children. They
Yes. Yes,
eligible for a variety of funding streams, right? So there
yes.
is more money for these children than
Yeah,
their counterparts in the district schools.
yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. And we should have academic rigor and really be changing their lives because these are kids who need their life to be changed, so that they're out of, we don't want them to be in the system because it's hard to get out once a youngster gets into the system. And I'm a retired teacher, 38 years of teaching. And I was also a teacher leader, a department chair, a coach, a resource teacher, all of that. And so I know and I understand schools and I was just so grateful to have this big meeting with teachers from each one of those 5 schools. And things are not going well. It looks pretty bad. And it's all being hush hush and put under the carpet and not talked about. And I kind of felt like as a board member, kind of being, you know, just shown certain things. But anyway, I liked that we got to meet with teachers, and some of these teachers have been there for like over 20 years. They, you know, like us talk about teaching as a calling. These
Right.
teachers love these kids, the most challenging kids. They love them. And there's school psychologists and social workers and teachers and you know they don't want to go anywhere else, but they feel driven out because of the working conditions. Now, when you talk about a teacher's working conditions, you're talking about a child's learning environment. If the working conditions are bad, then that child's learning environment is not good. It's bad also. So anyway, I really feel like I need to be a voice for them. They talked about it, number one, not being safe, that there's protocols that are not being followed in placements and in how to deal with kids who have lots of challenges and students, fighting with each other and just teachers who getting hurt sometimes. And they have protections against those things. And there are ways to keep everybody safe. And they do feel short-staffed, which should not be happening. And that they, like somebody will leave and they won't fill that position up again. So something's got to be done. And I really feel for these teachers. And number one is, first of all, their voices. Their voices need to be heard. I don't think that they're being listened to. In fact, one of them mentioned that, yeah, they did all of this like survey and then they listened to us and then nothing changed.
Right.
Wow, I remember that happening in my schools. Yeah, yeah. It's like, why are we doing this? It's not going to make any difference. So that voice, those voices need to be heard. And that's one of the things I'd like to do at the board level and try to give those teachers more voice publicly, being able to express what that
And they have come. I mean, they have attended public meetings and made their and introduced the problem to the public. So
Yes.
this is just something that honestly members of the community really do need to be able to understand and to help support solutions for. Right? Everyone gains when the children in these schools are given more support and do better and have positive outcomes. Everyone gains from that.
Everyone gains.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we just need to put energy on it. And it's easy to not put energy on it, but it deserves it. And the fact that the teachers come, I think, is so important. It's hard to do that. What you're doing is you're risking retaliation, honestly.
Yes.
When no matter who you are, whenever you go in public and criticize your employer.
Yeah.
So that has to be honored for the brave act that it is to do it, to do
Yeah,
that.
to come forward. Yeah, and say that. So that did open the door finally, and we're going to explore it even more. And there's just a lack, and they said this several times, a lack of collaboration and being part of the decision making. And
That's our big word here on Between Two Teachers. Collaboration
gosh,
is
collaboration is the highest form of leadership, of governance, if you're not doing that, I don't know what you're doing, but it's not good leadership. And in order to get collaboration, there's three things that need to be strong: the trust, communication, and equity of thought. You're bringing in everybody at the table who is affected by the decisions that you're making, and let them have a voice over those things. And none of that is going on with these teachers or at these schools. And so it's critical, and like it's day to day. And when you're talking about safety, oh my gosh, that's something we have to, really take seriously and look at. So yeah, so I'm going to be bringing up a lot of different things about that, and bringing more teacher voice, because teachers are really important to this whole thing. And you were mentioning about the teacher academies. We're going to do those, and they need to also start teaching education classes at the community college, so
Yeah,
that when you transfer, you already have your lower division education classes. And so
right.
then there's fewer that you have to take later on. And
And I'm sure there are models for that.
yes, yes, yes. I
Have our
mean,
decisions, curriculum decisions that are made, and
yes,
those, and the idea is to be part of making those curriculum decisions, right? Those are they're CTE decisions, right? Those are our career pathway decisions.
yeah. And there's an idea out there that for substituting, you don't need a BA, that
Right,
if you have an AA, you could substitute, which makes perfect sense to me. If you have an AA in science, you took a lot of
right.
requirements, and so you've got an AA certificate. So I think that's a great idea.
I think it opens up the world to, people are saying, where can we find the subs? You can
Yep.
find them with all those people that you've put a barrier in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because really the bachelor's is a barrier to a whole huge community of people who would be great substitutes,
Yeah. Yeah.
and who might then decide to move forward and become teachers.
Exactly. Exactly. So there's just so many ways, that we could address this teacher shortage, of course, the teacher housing, which we've talked a lot about here, and maybe it should be free housing.
Yeah,
That
well,
would
that's
attract
all.
teachers that to California, or at least affordable. But yeah, we're going to stay on that, and lots of solutions coming forward. So I'll have a lot of news from the county.
It's coming. It's
Yes,
coming.
it's coming. So
All right. Well, I'm going to end this with a shout out to a great teacher, a young teacher named Marissa McGee. And Marissa McGee has written a wonderful book called Free the Curls. Free the Curls is about a young African-American child who goes with her mother and sees that the products, the hair care products that she wanted to buy for herself and her family were locked up in the drugstore, unlike all the other hair care products. And she took it upon herself to become an activist to change that. And so this is a story of activism around discrimination. And it's a very recent story. It's written by Miss McGee, who is a teacher. And she has a website for Free the Curls. I recommend to all of you that you buy it. I recommend to all of you who run libraries that you include it in your libraries. I recommend to teachers that you get copies of them. I've sent them out. Miss McGee will Zoom in and talk to your class after they've read it. And so the opportunities are there for you to talk to the author. And we'll try to see if we can get Miss McGee to come here, and so that we can speak to her personally and congratulate her on her wonderful book.
didn't you say there's a unit being developed by somebody?
She has it. She includes it. So if you go to her website, you can buy a teacher's unit that goes to the teacher can have that to support themselves in teaching it. So already there are several schools that I know have adopted it and are going to, and that are sharing it out within their own networks. But I think it should be everywhere. I think this should be second grade, a second grade requirement. Free the Curls is all about not just second grade, second to fourth grade. I've got second through fourth grade teachers who I know that are really excited to bring this into their classrooms. So I recommend to all of you to buy a copy of Free the Curls and share it out. Share it out as much as you possibly can, and then get another copy and share it again.
There you go. All right.
Okay, so that's it for us. Until next time, we'll see you soon on Between Two Teachers.